What is the most surprising and or counterintuitive lesson that you had to learn over the past in your career in the private equity space?
How much people count.
Yeah.
And that's the jockey. We invested in the company, and I think their game plan wasn't going to work. But the CEO was a really good thinker, and he really listened. And I said, we're going to go with him because he'll figure out how to pivot, and he has. So I think that's still the major one. The second is control of information and being able to do better with information. And I was surprised how important that is in any kind of company.
I'm going to jump into this as to what was a really rough lesson that you learned that was very expensive. And I've got another 3. This is a 3P alliteration.
First there was cat, sorry.
First there was cat. Now I've got 3 Ps. It is prioritize physical proximity. We did an acquisition at the end of 2020. It was COVID. This was our 3rd acquisition. It sucked because we couldn't get in person. Sure, you're doing all the video meetings and you're still seeing people, but the ability to actually have your acquisition, understand your culture, understand your vision, feel valued. We had so much regrettable talent attrition. It was terrible. And our time to value extended much longer than we had anticipated. And so it was a very expensive lesson for us to learn. So as you were talking about, the people matter. You've got to prioritize physical proximity in an acquisition. Sure, you can go remote later, but there's nothing like being in the room together. That's what Family Office Club is all about, right? You're here together in person because that's where the relationships get formed. That's where the value is added. So prioritize physical proximity.
Well, I think the point is you can learn more about a person and a transaction if you're in the same room with them than being on Zoom. There's something about the human spirit
Absolutely
that
right.
transmits when you're close to people. So I heartily agree with that. I went out of my way to see a person. I said, I love what they're doing. I need to be next to that person for a few hours.
Yes.
And so I did.
That's great.
So I would say the pandemic caught me, but obviously all of us by surprise, but also what the pandemic did in the multifamily market. Markets that were pretty good markets really deteriorated, and there was regulations that allowed people not to pay rents for a couple of years, and that really hurt deeply some of the investments we were involved with, and we had to hire way more people just to collect the money and go through the government loopholes, all the different hoops they had for us. And then the other thing was how fast interest rates rose. I was caught off guard that it would rise that quickly. Fortunately, we were in 99% fixed rate instruments, and so it didn't impact us that much, but still it was a big surprise.
Yeah, I would just say investing in industries or companies you don't have a prior domain expertise in, maybe, I don't want to say chasing a trend, but just it's not your typical bread and butter. And I think I've seen families just make a mistake of investing in industries they don't know very well, and they get caught. So sticking to what you know, I think, is important.
There really is a trend, or family offices have been more active in direct investing than in the past, let's say. How can you help? I mean, any offering of advice from that, for your own experience, perhaps?
Sure. One word is infrastructure. I think investing directly is great. The economics look fantastic, but I just think sometimes people don't know how much work it takes to actually run the infrastructure, from the due diligence, the background, again, actually know what you're doing once you actually make the acquisition. And look, in theory and on paper, it's fantastic.
Right.
Going direct rather via some type of fund or a vehicle, but it's really hard. So if you can do it, great, but I just think it's important for people to know what they're getting into before they do that.
You don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd sort of combine those two things. I think we're a family office investing direct. We're lucky in that we have teams all around the world, so we get a lot of feedback. I think one of the problems that family offices have is they don't necessarily see what's going on outside their area, whether that be at a state level or international. So you could potentially make decisions like not realizing COVID was coming or the impact of COVID, not understanding the significance of payment systems in e-commerce. That if you're not going out to other countries, going out to other industries, you're not seeing that risk to your assets because you're only seeing a small amount of the data. And obviously, the smaller the family office, the less resources they have
Right.
for looking at that.
Right. Thank you for that.